Yeah. I think what it is it's more like an understanding of how things are. When they talk about the truth of Dharma, they talk about the two truths. The truth of how things really are and the truth of how things appear. Let's start with that. Then when we are learning about the Dharma, we learn intellectually that emptiness is form, form is emptiness. We learn this intellectually, but we don't really have a deep experience of this. For example, we could say that this, from the scientific viewpoint, this table does not exist. We could say that. After all, it's made of parts, and those parts have smaller parts, and inside there are moving electrons, and so forth. So, so technically it isn't here, but yet we have this problem. It appears, yeah. Okay, so what we need to do is understand intellectually first. And then when we have the intellectual understanding, we can both see that it appears to be solid, but know that at the ultimate level it is not. But that's still just intellectual. In the practice of meditation, what we do is we look at the mind that is experiencing all of these appearances. Okay? So when we examine this experiencer, we see that the one who experiences is not solid or real or permanent. It's always changing. At first, this is also only an intellectual understanding. But through the practice of meditation, such as the meditation of Mahamudra, it becomes experiential. My teacher, Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche, said that one changes in a moment. One's perception and experience changes in a moment. The realization happens in a single moment. One sits down on one's meditation seat as an ordinary being, and one gets up from the seat as a first level and partially enlightened bodhisattva. However, this doesn't happen by accident. It happens after having first understood intellectually all of these things and then practicing the view that is absolute while also understanding the relative, how it appears, but also understanding how it really is. So it starts there. We use the view to counteract the tendency to cling. And then through the meditation, the bondage is overcome. However, as for how a bodhisattva perceives things, I don't know, because I've never been there. However, how it is explained is that it is like seeing the stage magician and knowing how the trick works. When the stage magician produces birds from his coat, you think, wow, that's amazing. But when you know that the birds are in a pocket, it's no longer amazing. You still see the birds flying, and it's still wonderful, but you know how it works. So I don't think we're going to lose any of our enjoyment of life. What we will lose is the pain that comes from grasping that happiness. One of the Rinpoches once said, we human beings have a very great talent. We can destroy our enjoyment of anything. And we do that by clinging to it. When we cling to something, we're afraid it will be stolen. And we become misers and won't share. So I don't know if this was a good answer or not. Okay, that's good. Okay. So I'm glad we filled the time a little bit with question. So now we're back. Yeah, so it's like. So I think we'll begin with guided meditation on Tonglen. And may I have the ding, ding, ding? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, I like this. Very nice. Okay. It's very gentle. I like this. It's not harsh. It's very gentle. So we'll start by allowing our body to rest in the posture of meditation and allowing our attention to rest on the breath. Placing the body in the comfortable posture with the straight spine and the hands either in the lap or on the legs. The chin is tucked in and the eyes are cast downward. The tip of the tongue touches the roof of the mouth behind the teeth. And the the attention follows the breath in and it follows the breath out. And so we'll sit quietly for just a few moments like this. So that is a very short practice of Tonglen. Does anybody have any questions about the practice? Okay, so then this is an example of how you can practice Tonglen. You can make it shorter or longer. If you're in a hurry, you can just start by imagining the loved one. And then do Tonglen for your loved one and then slowly expand to all sentient beings. But the important part is to begin with one and end with all. And then let go of the visualization and rest. And if you then have some more time, you can do the whole practice again. Yeah, the idea is for it to proceed naturally and not try to make it too long. Because if we attempt to prolong it for too long, then our mind might get bored and we might lose our place. Naturally, at first, it'll be a little awkward to do this practice. As with shamatha, we might forget what we're doing. We might lose our place. But then we use the same technique of noticing the distraction and then returning. We might get mixed up and start sending out suffering and bringing in happiness. If we get confused like this, we can change it. Just notice the mistake and change it. We don't need to get too worried about that. So, are there any questions? Yeah, I understand the challenge of this situation. When we're doing a group sadhana, it's an exercise in shamatha, because if we don't pay attention, we lose our place. So at first, it's not easy to put these two things together. We're saying the words of bodhichita, but our heart's not quite there. However, as we become much more familiar with the sadhana, this can change. Especially in the refuge part, since it's in Chenrezig, for example, it's very easy to remember the refuge and bodhicitta prayer. And so somehow, while you are reciting, since you have that prayer maybe memorized, you can, since you have that prayer perhaps memorized, you can think, may I develop bodhicitta through this practice. For example, the 15th Karmapa in his commentary on Chenrezig talks about this. He says when you take refuge, you should really wish to be free from samsara. And when you say the words of bodhicitta, which is the second part of Sonjeju Don Sochicho Namla, Jangchup is, the word Jangchup is like enlightenment, you know. And so that's the beginning of the section about the from Namasi Sanjeju Don Sochi Chunamla Jangchu Bardu Dani Chapsuchi Dajijin Soji Peso Namji Drolapen Shir Sanjedu Parsho. So the first two verses are a refuge, second two are bodhicitta. So at the very least we can think, I take refuge and I pray that through this practice I may benefit sentient beings. Even if all we do is before we sit down we think beings are suffering, I must help them. That's good. And this is how I'm going to benefit them by doing this meditation. I myself cannot save sentient beings right now, but Chenrezig can. Or Tara, or Medicine Buddha, or whoever. Yeah. So at least we can have the attitude of bodhicitta as we sit down. And as we learn the visualizations that go with Chenrezig practice, there's actually, you actually visualize that when you're saying the refuge practice, refuge prayer in Chenrezig, there's actually a visualization that goes with this, where you're surrounded by all sentient beings and Chenrezig is above you. It's like you're their leader. So you're thinking about them right then. But it's a little too much to go into all that now, but at least have the attitude of using the practice to benefit beings, and that's a good beginning. That's the challenge of sadhana practice, is that you have to pay attention, you know. And it's hard to keep all of those things in mind at once. But with familiarity, it gets easier. Did that address your concern? Yeah? Okay, yeah. Yeah. Okay, anything? Any other? Okay. So, all right. Then that is a little bit about the practice of Tonglen. And now we have spoken about both the practice of ultimate bodhicitta and the practice of relative bodhicitta. The daily life application of the relative bodhicitta is in that slogan, 3 objects, 3 poisons, 3 seeds of virtue. What I like about this slogan is that it allows you to practice all day, every day. A lot of people say, I don't have a lot of time to practice. But if you can use this slogan, you can practice from morning till night. Your experience might be different from mine, but I'm almost always feeling some kind of mental affliction. Maybe I have expectation, or maybe I have fear. Maybe I'm worried about something, or I want something to happen. All of these are mental afflictions. So if I practice 3 objects, 3 poisons, and 3 seeds of virtue, I can practice every time I experience a mental affliction. This means even if I have a headache, I can practice. Even if I am tired, I can practice. Even if I'm upset and confused, I can practice. Because I can take hold of that emotion in the moment and use it for practice. I don't have to wait for the perfect moment to meditate. I can practice right here, right now. And in fact, if we do the practice of Tonglen with great diligence, every moment of our life can be meaningful. For most of us, we do have a secret fear. And that fear is that someday we will become disabled. Maybe we will actually even be confined to a bed. Maybe we won't be able to do much of anything for ourselves. Maybe we fear such a situation. And maybe we fear that we'll feel useless. I guess you could call this our worst case scenario. But if we practice Tonglen, that means as long as we are breathing, we can benefit beings. All we have to do is put that intention on the breath. Out breath, wishing to benefit beings. In breath, removing suffering from being. Yes, right now, our intention may not actually bring freedom from suffering for beings. And when we do Tonglen for someone, we might be disappointed that they don't become cured from their illness. But that's not the point. Yes, those people do benefit because they have been our inspiration for cultivating compassion. So it is as though we had prayed for them. Because of the Buddha's teaching on interdependence, this type of situation is of benefit to them. Because of our connection to them, they benefit from our practice. However, it may not result in their being cured. It might just add to their store of merit for the future. And that way it will benefit them in the future, not immediately. But what will happen is that our selfishness will grow smaller and smaller and smaller. We will have dissolved that root of self-clinging that has caused so much of our pain. And in this way, this practice is incredibly powerful. I recommend it to everyone. There are 2 remaining slogans in this section. The first is this: use sayings to train in all forms of activity. This really just means to remember bodhicitta all the time. When you're walking around on the street, think, may everyone who sees me be benefited. There's actually a verse that you can recite. This verse was spoken in the 12th century by an Indian teacher. The teacher's name was Shakyamuni. It says, "When I am happy, may my merit flow to others. May its blessings fill the sky. When I am unhappy, may the suffering of all beings be mine. And may the ocean of suffering run dry." Recently, as you know, there was a tragic earthquake in Tibet. His Holiness the 17th Jawang Karmapa gave a short speech about this. He expressed sympathy for all of those who had suffered and died. And he ended by reciting this verse. Because when we are happy, it's important that we imagine that our happiness flow out of us to others so we don't cling to it. And when we are unhappy, it's important that we not cling to it, and in order not to cling, we take on the sufferings of others. In this way, neither suffering nor happiness is an obstacle to our attainment of Buddhahood. When we have wonderful food, we can think, may all beings be happy just like this. When we feel so happy and comfortable on a beautiful day, we can think, may all beings be happy and comfortable. Otherwise, we run the risk of clinging to our happiness. And then if someone says even one bad word to us, then we will lose all of our happiness in a moment of anger. And this is, I think, the function of this slogan, to use sayings to train no matter what you're doing in the day. The last slogan says, begin the sequence of exchange with yourself. This is also helpful in situations where people have some fear or concern about taking on the suffering of others. Instead of starting with another person in the meditation, you start with thinking that you are sitting in front of you. As you breathe in, you think that you remove your own suffering. And as you breathe out, you think that you give yourself comforting and happiness. In a way, it's like you're becoming your own parent. When we have children, we wish to take away their suffering, and we wish to give them happiness. Our parents did the best they could with us, and now we have to parent ourselves the rest of the way. So this is one way to overcome the fear of doing Tonglen. Do Tonglen for yourself. You can also do this when you are feeling very depleted and very depressed. It's a way to replenish yourself by giving yourself everything you need. So this is a little bit about the second of the 7 points of mind training. As I mentioned this morning, we're only going to cover the first 3 points today. And so I'm thinking that maybe I'll talk for another few minutes and then give you a break. And so we'll start with the third point, which is transforming negative conditions into the path of awakening. If you're like me, you have no lack of negative conditions. So then you'll have a lot of work with. The first slogan goes like this. When evil fills the world and its inhabitants, change adverse conditions into the path of awakening. So this is pretty self-evident. If we don't change adverse conditions into the path of awakening, I guess you could say we go down the drain with them. You know how it is when the water starts down the drain, it just keeps going. When negative things tend to happen, we tend to believe the story that those situations are telling us. And we just go down the drain with it. So in order to escape this, we must change adverse conditions into the path of awakening. There are 3 ways to do this. The first one is to use relative bodhichita. If you remember, that's the bodhichita that is love and compassion. The slogans are very short. The first one is, drive all blame into one. This addresses a very human tendency to start to blame externally when things happen. If only that person hadn't done this or said this, then everything would be okay. My pain and suffering cannot be my fault. It has to be somebody else's fault. Yeah, I think that seems to be a very human thing. Yeah, so that's why blame is addressed first. In Jamgon Kongtrul's commentary, he says, don't blame externally. Or you should recognize that selfishness is to blame. In fact, it's what he says here is, mind grasps at a self where there is no self. From beginningless time until now, selfishness has committed many negative actions. All of the sufferings I now experience are the results of those actions. No one else is to blame. Self-clinging is to blame. So now I will do what I can to reverse this. So basically, it's not saying that we should blame the victim. What it's saying is that we should blame the one who is clinging. And so we should go after that one and use Tonglen to tame it. The second slogan has to do with how we should look at everyone else. If we know that ego clinging is to blame, then what about all those others? Well, the slogan says, be grateful to everyone. What you do for this is realize that all sentient beings want happiness, but all they do is commit actions that bring suffering. In other words, they're just like us. So we should feel gratitude for them reminding us of our shortcomings in samsara. How many times have we said to one of our friends, please tell me what I've done wrong? And then when they tell us, we get angry. We claim to want to know what our faults are, but I'm not sure we're serious. Because when negative mental afflictions arise, such as anger and impatience, it's showing us our shortcomings. If someone does something I don't like, it shows me I lack patience. This happens to me a lot. So I have a lot to learn. My teacher, Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche, in his book, Dharma Paths, says something about this. He suggests that we make a list of our faults. After all, we're the experts in this field. We really somehow know what all of our greatest faults are. If you're like me, you keep them sort of hidden, but then when people say something to you, they pop right out. And so Khenpo Rinpoche says that by making the list, you prevent yourself from getting angry at that time. After all, if you've already made a list of your greatest faults, when somebody points one out, you won't be angry. You'll say, oh yeah, that's number 12. Yeah, I know about that one. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me. I will try to work on that one. I know this sounds a little silly, but it's really something we should think about. There's a quote from Lord Atisha. It has 5 verses. The first verse is, the best spiritual friend is one who attacks your hidden faults. The best instructions are the instructions that hit those faults. The best friends are mindfulness and attention. The best incentives for practice are enemies, obstacles, and illness. The best method of meditation is not to fabricate or make up anything. So I like those 5 verses because they speak to this. Personally, I prefer to keep my faults hidden, but this means I'm not going to become Buddha for a very long time. It's better to be honest than dishonest. I have a lot of friends who are in what is called the community of those who are in recovery. These are people who are recovering from addiction to alcohol or drugs. And one of their slogans is that the truth will set you free. When we're dishonest with ourselves, we have an illusion of happiness. But it's based on sand and it will move. So it's better to be honest and then not worry. So this is, to me, what it means to be grateful to everyone. Because when bad situations happen or negative people come to us, it reminds us what we need to do. I mean, we sit on our cushions contemplating impermanence. We contemplate karma, cause and effect. And we know that the resolution is that we must practice the Dharma. But then, when impermanence strikes, we get angry. And when karma ripens, we say, this is so unfair. And yet, if we can really live the contemplations, then this pain and suffering of change won't be so bad. To prove impermanence, we'll take a break. There's an end even to talk. So please relax and enjoy and come back in 5 minutes or 10. Thank you.